Hello students, welcome to IFS. I hope I'm properly audible to everyone. Yes, good evening, very good evening Kajal, good evening Disha, good evening Mansi. Hello everyone. I hope you are properly studying for the topic that we are discussing. So in today's session we will be looking at the questions related to the Elizabethan age, some of the questions related to Elizabethan age, as well as some of the questions related to the Jacobean age. Okay, so yes, hello Sonam. So आज के सेशन में जो questions we will be discussing are basically on the literature perspective. Okay, so as of now we were dealing with the questions which are based on the historical background of that age. Yes, now it is also, now this is the time where we look at the questions based on their literature part, the books about the writers, their works, their famous works, and the background of their works. Okay, so yes, hello Deepak. So I hope you all are aware of what a Jacobean age is. You remember what a Jacobean age is, and Elizabethan age is very famous and very common. You already know it, I know that. Now let me just revise it again. So if I hope you remember it when I told you about James. So who was the king who ruled in the Jacobean age? It was James the 6th. Yes, remember this? And how he became the king, I already told you, because Elizabeth was virgin queen. She did not conceive any baby. That is why eventually the reign went towards the next Henry. Yes, Henry the 7th hierarchy. Okay, so that is how James the 6th became the king. Okay, so remember this, and now we are going to talk about the questions related to that. Before we actually talk about the questions, or we look at the questions, there is another thing that you have to remember that about this course. Yes, so if you haven't enrolled in the course, do it right away. I hope as of now you know all the details regarding the course, and this is just a reminder to make you aware that the deal will be very soon. So take admission before it closes, before the prices rise. Please take the admission, because you will not get any course in such a less price to study such a good amount of studies, right? And even if you want to buy some books, you will require at least 5 to 10 books. Yes, and to buy those many books you actually require one book costs for like 500 rupees. So even if you will calculate that, your price is going to the price of the books is going to be higher than this course. Yes, so please go for the course, because it is definitely going to help you out in your studies. Don't miss this opportunity. Yeah, coming back to the questions, here is the first question in front of you. What is the question? In which year Thomas More's Utopia was translated into English? In which year? The year it was translated was 1551. Okay, now we have already looked at so many things related to Utopia. I don't think so there is a need for you to give me the background of Utopia. Yes, you already know what Utopia is, whose work it is, what is written in it. Just this question asks you about in which year it was translated into English. Okay, so here now also pay attention to the question. They are not asking when it was published by Thomas More. Okay, they are asking you about the translation, which is not done by Thomas More. It is done by whom? We are going to look ahead. Okay, so till the time, what you have to remember, that Utopia is it was translated in English in the year 1551. Okay. Next question is, Thomas More got the inspiration for writing his Utopia from? From where did he got his inspiration? He got his inspiration from Plato's Republic. So if you haven't read the criticism of Plato, which is the Republic, then please do it, because it is very important from exam perspective. Okay, it is not there in the British literature, but when you will study the literary criticism or literary theory, that time I'll be teaching it to you. Okay. Next question is, who is the author of Euphues, The Anatomy of Wit? Who is the author? We already know it. It is the John Lyly. Yes, we also talked about it in our last class. So we will not waste time in talking it again. Okay. Yes. So now if you look at the next question, who is the author of the Travel of Sir John Mandeville? Yes, students. Now here I want the answers from you, because this is a very fresh question. The Travel of Sir John Mandeville. Now I'll give you a hint. The answer is hidden in the question itself. The name of the person is already there in the question. Can you guess now? Okay, so Mansi has given us the answer. Deepak has given us the answer. Yes, absolutely correct. It is Sir John Mandeville. Okay. Sir John Mandeville, absolutely correct. So it is an autobiography written by Sir John Mandeville. Okay. Now we are going to talk about the next question. The next question says, who is the author of the New Atlantis? What is this New Atlantis? Let's look at the background of New Atlantis. So New Atlantis is an incomplete utopian novel by Sir Francis Bacon. And what is there? So it was published in posthumously in 1626, and it appeared unheralded and tucked into the back of the longer work of natural history Sylva Sylvarum. Okay, so this is a very beautiful concept, Sylva Sylvarum, so you can study for it. And so yes, another I remembered one thing. I asked you a question yesterday, that what is the work which is published after the death of the author is called as? So the answer is here. It is called as posthumously. Means if the author is died and after his death his work is being published, it is called as posthumously. Okay, so always remember this as well. So New Atlantis is an incomplete utopian novel by Sir Francis Bacon. Means what will be the answer? Who is the author of New Atlantis? It is Bacon. A. Yes? Got the answer? Let's move ahead. So this question says that which of the following is the earliest prose romance in English? Earliest prose romance. Okay, so it is basically Morte d'Arthur. Okay, so what is the background of Morte d'Arthur? So it is so this work has been selected by scholars as being culturally important. What is the significance of this Morte d'Arthur work? It is selected by the scholars. First of all, remember this. Why? Because it's culturally important and is a part of knowledge base of civilization as we know it. Okay, so this work was reproduced from the original artifact and remains as true to be original work as possible. Okay, so it was rewritten, it was reframed, it was reproduced, keeping the authentication. Okay. So you can see the background of this question of the Morte de Arthur. Okay. Now next question. Ralph Royster Doyster was first performed in which year? Now before you talk about the year, first you should know some background of Ralph Royster Doyster as well, right? So what is this? Ralph Royster Doyster is a 16th century play by Nicholas Udell, okay, which was once regarded as the first comedy to be written in the English language. What is it? It is the first comedy. The name itself is so funny, right? Ralph Royster Doyster. What is this? This is comedy name. The name is also comedy, and it was the first comedy play, okay, written by Nicholas Udell. And in which year it was published? Performed, sorry, it was performed in 1559. Okay. Now let's look at the next question. What our next question says: Thomas More's Utopia was written in which language? In which language was it written? Latin. It was written in Latin. Now the next question. When was published Kidd's The Spanish Tragedy? First of all, the Spanish Tragedy is written by Thomas Kidd. Okay. Now let's look at some of the background of it. So the Spanish Tragedy is also called as Hieronymo, okay, is Mad Again, is an Elizabethan tragedy written by Thomas Kidd between 1582 to 1592. Okay, highly popular and influential in its time. The Spanish tragedy established a new genre in English theatre, the revenge play or the revenge tragedy. Okay, so what is the ultimate theme of this? It is a revenge play or revenge tragedy, means a Spanish tragedy. Okay, and so in which year it is written? In 1992. Okay, sorry, 1592. I'm extremely sorry, 1592. Now let's pay attention to the next question. The next question says John Bunyan's The Pilgrim's Progress is a or an dash. Whether it is a travelogue, whether it is allegory, whether it is a picaresque novel, or whether it is epic. First of all, you should know about all these things. What is a travelogue? It's like a blog which, so if you are traveling and you are writing something while traveling or on that travel. Allegory is a pun-based thing which has a hidden meaning behind it. It is not directly said, but it is indirectly said some things. Picaresque novels are little different ones, which we are going to study further as well. Epics are the ones which are related to the original content, okay, or the olden or traditional way of writing, that is called as the epics. Okay, so what is the Pilgrim's Progress? It is allegory. Okay, pay attention here. So a story, what is an allegory? A story, poem or picture that can be interpreted to reveal a hidden meaning, typically a moral or political one. So Pilgrim's Progress is an allegory of a spiritual journey. Okay. Pay attention to the next question now. So which play of Shakespeare was inspired by Thomas Lodge's Rosalind? Which play was inspired by that? Twelfth Night, Much Ado About Nothing, As You Like It, or A Midsummer Night's Dream? Which one was it? Yes, students, give me the answer. Which one was it? Yes, it was As You Like It. Okay, so it was inspired. So this is Shakespeare's play, which was inspired from the Thomas Lodge's Rosalind. Okay. See here, so he is best remembered for the prose romance Rosalind, the source of William Shakespeare's As You Like It. So he was the son of Sir Thomas Lodge, okay, who was Lord Mayor of London in 1562. Got it? This is the background of Rosalind as well as You Like It. Okay, here comes that who translated More's Utopia into English. Who translated it? Ralph Robinson, Roger Ascham, Nicholas Udall, or William Tyndale. Who was it? It was translated by Ralph Robinson. See here. So it was not until 1551, 16 years after More's execution, that it was first published in England as an English translation by Robinson. Okay. Next question now. So Spenser's Astrophel is a pastoral elegy on the death of whom? Now first of all, you should know what a pastoral elegy is. So basically the pastoral elegy is a poem about both death and idyllic rural life. Okay, often the pastoral elegy features shepherds because they have a very sad life going on, okay, or very hard life. Okay, so in pastoral elegy, both the death is also being taught and also how their sufferings and also their hardship is also being taught. That is idyllic rural life is being told. The genre is actually a subgroup of pastoral poetry, as the elegy takes the pastoral elements and relates them to expressing grief at a loss. Yes, got it? So now which is this? So Spenser's Astrophel is a pastoral elegy on whom? So it is the pastoral elegy of Sir Philip Sidney. Okay, now pay attention to the next question. What is our next question? What type of novel is Thomas Nashe's The Unfortunate Traveller or The Life of Jack Wilton? What is this novel? Anyone, both the novels are similar, they have similar type. It is picaresque novel. What is the meaning of picaresque novel? So picaresque novel is a genre prose fiction. It depicts the adventures of a roguish but appealing hero, usually of low social class, who lives by his wits in a corrupt society. So picaresque novels typically adopt a realistic style. Okay, so there are often some elements comedy and satire. So basically they deal with the actual situations which a normal human person will face. Okay, that is called as picaresque. And The Unfortunate Traveller or The Life of Jack Wilton, originally published as a Unfortunate Traveller, okay, or The Life of Jackie Wilton, this is how it was published, is a picaresque novel by Thomas Nashe, first published in 1594 but set during the reign of Henry VIII of England. Now we already know who was Henry VIII, what were his achievements and everything. So it was set during the reign of Henry VIII of England. Okay, so I hope you have got the answer that it is picaresque novel. Why it is picaresque novel, you already know it now. Okay, yes, correct Sonam, the answer is option number C. Now next question. So in Tottel's miscellany, how many poems are by Surrey? Now first of all, you should know what is Tottel's miscellany. So songs and sonnets, usually called Tottel's Miscellany, was the first printed anthology of English poetry, okay, and first published by Richard Tottel in 1557 in London, and it ran to many editions in the 16th century. So then lot of other writers started adding the poems and stories in that, songs, sonnets and songs in that, okay. So now the question is that how many poems are there by Surrey? How many poems are there? So basically 40 poems are written, or sonnets are written by Surrey, okay. Now let's look at the next question. So who is the author of the first English comedy, Royster Doyster? Now we have already talked about Royster Doyster, and who is the now we also know that who is the author of it. It's the Nicholas Udall. Yes, so Nicholas Udall is the author of the first comedy, that is Ralph Royster Doyster. So Nicholas, now who was Nicholas Udall? So he was born in December 1505, and we actually don't know. Southampton, then Hampshire, English, died December, and where he died, Westminster. So then English playwright, then he was translator, schoolmaster who wrote the first known English comedy, Ralph Royster Doyster. Okay, this is the background of Nicholas Udall. Now pay attention to the next question. What is so it is Bunyan's Grace Abounding. What is it about? What is it actually? So this is A, this is B, this is C, and this is D. Now it will be easier for you to give the answer. So if you will see here, what is John Bunyan's Grace Abounding? First you should know about Bunyan's. So it is basically an autobiography. So John Bunyan's autobiography is a story of God's gracious providence to those whom he has set his love upon. Okay, Bunyan's account is mixed with great struggle, spiritual deafness, and God's mighty power to raise sinners from the dead. Okay, this is a very deep spiritual poem, and it is also an autobiography of John Bunyan's. Okay, so it is an author's autobiography. Clear? Yes, Ankit, Deepak, absolutely correct. You are right with the answer. Okay, so now let's look at the next question. What our next question says. So what pair of author wrote the first English tragedy? So it is very difficult to pronounce actually. So it is the Gorboduc and Ferrex and Porrex. So who are the two authors of this? It was Thomas Sackville and Thomas Norton. See here, the tragedy of Gorboduc is the earliest English tragedy in blank verse. What is the type? It is in blank verse, and it was written by Thomas Sackville and Thomas Norton. Okay, both of them have contributed here. The writers took the story to the play from Geoffrey to Monmouth's History of the Kings of Britain. Okay, in 1138. The play premiered before Queen Elizabeth I on 18 January 1561. When was it played in front of Queen Elizabeth I? On 18th January 1561. Okay, clear with this? Who are those who wrote this? It was Thomas Sackville and Thomas Norton. Clear? Yes, great. Now let's move ahead and look at the next question. So this question says, what type of novel is Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe? First of all, you should know Robinson Crusoe's novel, that is Daniel Defoe. So it is a novel by Daniel Defoe, and it was first published on 25th April year 1719. Okay, the first edition credited the work's protagonist Robinson Crusoe as its author. Okay, and leading many readers to believe he was a real person, and the book a travelogue of true incidents. Okay, so this was Robinson Crusoe. So people actually started thinking that the book belonged to them. They did not know that the author's name is Daniel Defoe. Okay, and they thought that the author himself is writing the book about himself, and his name is Robinson Crusoe. Okay, so this is the background of it, and it is a travelogue. Okay, and now the last question of the day. Now Ben Jonson's first folio was published in, now what is this first folio? So it is the first folio was published in 1616, the work of Benjamin Jonson, the first Jonson folio of 1616, printed and published by William Standby and I'm extremely sorry, and sold through bookseller Richard Megin. Okay, and contained 9 plays, all previously published, 2 works of non-dramatic poetry, 13 masques, and 6 entertainments. Okay, so this was the whole first folio of Benjamin Jonson. Okay, that is Ben Jonson, and it was published in 1616. Clear with this? I hope you have understood whatever I have told you in today's session. Are you all clear with the all the 20 questions whatever I discussed in today's session? I hope now you don't have any queries, now you might have at least understood that in which way the questions are being asked in your exams, right? So now even if the question comes, so even if the question comes in such a manner of or when you are actually practicing the questions apart from the ones which we are practicing, now you will be able to understand that yes, this question is based on this particular age and the background is this, or even if you don't understand the answer, you will be able to find the answer. Yes, so this was it. If you haven't studied for the Jacobean age as of now, if you haven't studied about all these writers and their works which we are discussing right now, please do it, because this is very important from your exam perspective, because 70% of your questions are based on the British literature. So you can imagine that how important British literature is from the exam perspective. Okay, so questions are too difficult, but okay, thank you so much Mansi for your reply. Yes, thank you so much Revati. And yes, if you are able to get the answers, if you are able to understand it, then there will be nothing which makes me happy. Okay, so thank you so much. At least you are getting it. That gives me a lot of satisfaction that whatever I'm trying to teach you, you are at least able to understand it. Okay, and definitely you all are brilliant students. You are going to study for it, you are going to practice hard, and I'm always there to help you. If you need any question from my side as well, I'm always ready to help you out. I'm ready to explain it to you n number of times. If you come across any doubt, any query, do let me know. Okay, and yes, another reminder, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, don't forget to share it with your friends, because as you all are preparing, as it is simple for you, I want other students also to prepare likewise. Yes, so yes, most welcome Deepak, and thank you so much for your patient listening. Until the time we meet next, happy learning.